Hey there, race fans. It's race day, top 5 with me, Frank 5, on this Wednesday. Yes. So much craziness down in the Lone Star State. The second race in the round of 8, it took 4 days to finish because of haze, mist, Mother Nature, you name it. Mother Nature literally showed her wrath down in the Lone Star State, and it took almost 4 days to get the second race of the round of 8 in. But luckily, we finally got it done tonight, and the defending Cup champ, who is no longer in the playoffs, played the spoiler in the second race of the round of 8. Number 1, Kyle Busch, at long last, finally won a NASCAR Cup Series race in 2020. Kyle Busch captured today's AutoTrader EchoPark Automotive 500 at Texas Motor Speedway, winning over his teammate Martin Truex Jr., Christopher Bell, Ryan Blaney, and Alex Bowman in the top 5. I mean, did we even expect Kyle Busch, the defending Cup Series champion, to win a race this year as bad as it's been, and how bad he has criticized how poorly this year's been? Every time he's had a bad race, he said, it's 2020. I mean, you gotta agree, it's been a tough year for everybody, but he probably didn't expect it to be this tough. I mean, Kyle Busch, as obviously last year's reigning Cup champ, really has not had the type of championship season you would have hoped for. He does have a lot of top 5s and top 10s, but all of those were mostly second, third, fourth, fifth place finishes. None of them up until today were race wins. Kyle Busch only had 1 bonus point all of this year before today, 1 stage win at Kansas Speedway. And, you know, thinking, is that going to carry him all the way to the championship? I think not. You got to win more races. And Kyle Busch literally ran into so much adversity this year and was not an early exit in the round of 16, but in the round of 12, with not a lot of playoff points, there was absolutely a 99% chance that he was not going to make it to the round of 8. And lo and behold, that happened after he had an average finish at the Las Vegas race, got caught up in multiple crashes at Talladega, ran out of gas towards the very end of the Bank of America Roval 400 at the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval. And, you know, people were thinking, you know, he's eliminated, he's going to try to go win the best he win towards the end of the year and start getting ready for 2021. And today, he got that done, having a very good race car, perhaps maybe the best car he's driven all year long. His Skittles Zombie paint scheme, of course, Halloween's this upcoming weekend, this upcoming Saturday. Kyle Busch had a very strong car all day long. He won the second stage and was pretty content up towards the front, battling with a couple of playoff drivers, but other than that, non-playoff drivers like Clint Boyer in his final season. He was looking to get a win and punt, you know, in his final year. But Kyle Busch, at the very end, was able to hold on in a little bit of a fuel mileage. He was pretty close to not making it, but luckily he was able to save enough fuel with Adam Stevens' crew chief, playing the fuel mileage game. And when he crossed the checkered flag, Kyle was very happy, very ecstatic, and you could see on the television feed that his crew chief, Adam Stevens, just like stayed back like this, just like breathing a sigh of relief. You couldn't really see it through his mask because of these, you know, protocols as far as the pandemic is concerned, but Kyle Busch finally has a race win this season. He was very happy in his interview. There were a couple of fans there in attendance. Most of them couldn't return to today's race when they were on Sunday because of all the weather, and they had to go to work, obviously. But Kyle Busch was finally able to get a victory in 2020 and keep a 16-year streak of winning at least a race alive. And this makes Kyle Busch show that he is ready to come back stronger than ever in 2021. With the same cars that we have this year, we're not switching to the new next-gen Gen 7 car until 2022 because of the COVID pandemic pushing those plans back. But Kyle Busch finishing the year off with at least a win today. This might be his only win of the season, believe it or not. I don't know if he's going to win another one. I wouldn't be shocked after, now he's got a win now. I wouldn't be shocked if he could win another race and play spoiler. But I believe this is going to be Kyle Busch's only victory of the season. And if it is, couldn't have come at a better time towards the end of the year and build momentum for 2021. Number 2, Martin Truex Jr., who basically came into this race with a must-win situation, had so much drama before the race got started on the portion of Sunday. Before the race got started, Martin Truex Jr. failed pre-race inspection and had to drop to the rear of the field because NASCAR confiscated his rear spoiler, saying it was illegal, not up to the right heights, and they docked him 20 driver and owners points, and they had his first-year crew chief, James Small, ejected from the track. James Small never got to be his crew chief for Sunday's portion or today's portion of the race at Texas Motor Speedway. But Martin Truex Jr. had a rocket ship. He came flying through the field, dodging a lot of cautions that we had early on Sunday, a couple early on today. He had a very strong car, and it looked like that he was going to punch his ticket to the championship forward with a victory. And he was wondering if his teammate Kyle Busch, who he was racing for the win, if Kyle Busch had ran out of gas, Martin Truex Jr. would have been the guy winning and being another upset like Joey Logano was last week. The guy came in below the cutoff line that won a race and elevated themselves to the championship four. Unfortunately, Truex was so close, but he does have an opportunity to go win next weekend at Martinsville. And the last time we were there earlier this year, granted it was a night race, Martin Truex Jr. had a really strong car and got his only win of the season. He could win there again and win like he did last year's race and punch his ticket to the championship four. Only time will tell, but Truex, despite everything that happened in pre-race inspection Sunday with his crew chief being ejected and being docked driver's points, which kills him in the point standings, he was able to pull it off a solid finish, and he does have one more race to go to push himself towards the championship four. Number 3, the weather. As I mentioned in the beginning of the video, we dealt with a lot of weather this weekend. I mean, 4 days. It took 4 days to finish this race. Oh, man. I mean, Mother Nature just plays the biggest tricks on everybody, especially when it comes to racetrack. I feel so bad for the fans that we had on Sunday with the COVID protocols stated. We had about, it looked like 20,000, 30,000 fans there. It was a really good crowd. And what they saw in the Xfinity race on Saturday, which was an exciting race, and the truck race a couple hours before, they were probably in for quite a treat, but then it starts hazing around lap 50. They red flagged the whole thing, and NASCAR kept drying the track the best they possibly could. They officially lost the track around 8 o'clock, and they said, we're postponing it until Monday. Monday we couldn't get in, and then we tried it yesterday, and it looked like we got a shot, and they were going to start the race at 8:30. Nope. More mist came down, and they said, we're going to try again, and they started today at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, 4 p.m. Central Time, their time, because Texas is obviously in the central portion of the United States, but we were able to get the race in, but this is the longest and perhaps the most annoying rain delay you will probably ever have in 2020. Thank goodness this year's almost over, because we can't take any more this year whatsoever. Number 4, a couple of the big stars, the big names that are the favorites for the championship, Kevin Harvick and Denny Hamlin, didn't really have the best race at Texas this weekend. On Sunday's portion of the race, on a restart, Denny Hamlin running in the top 10 got a little bit high up out of the groove and fell all the way back outside the top 10 back to the top 30. Then a couple laps later, Kevin Harvick leading off of turn 2 gets a little bit high and hits the wall with his Hunt Brothers Ford. He has to come to pit road because there's a little bit of right side damage. They have to work on it. They fall a lap down, and then obviously the race came to a halt and we didn't restart until today. And then Harvick got his lap back when there was a caution for a crash between Matt Kenseth and Bubba Wallace, which Denny Hamlin happened to be a part of as he got into the back of Kenseth, who was loose off of 4, but Hamlin didn't have a significant amount of damage, but he had to tape up the front portion of his front bumper a little bit. Harvick was able to get his lap back. Both of them drove back up towards the top 10. But when the final stage came, both were non-factor. They both started in the middle of the pack, and they both never really recovered. Harvick really wasn't happy with his race car, saying it was so tight, so loose, he couldn't really keep it together whatsoever. Hamlin was able to salvage a top 10 for the most part. He's got a 27-point cushion over the cutoff line, which is pretty safe, but what if you run into an issue next weekend early on and you don't score any stage points at a track where you've been successful in the past, but it's been a while since you won there? Denny Hamlin, he's not necessarily safe at the moment. He has to have a solid performance next weekend if he's going to advance, because what if he gets outpointed by Brad Keselowski and we have one of the guys below the cutoff line win next weekend, like a Martin Truex Jr. or Kurt Busch, who are basically both in must-win situations, or the other two Hendrick guys? Then Denny Hamlin could find himself on the outside in what's been a dream year for him. Kevin Harvick, I mean, after he hit the wall and that portion of Sunday's race, he was 2 points above the cut line. He went from a 40-plus point cushion to where he was on the racetrack, a 2-point cushion above the cutoff line. But then he started working way back to the field. He got a couple stage points, and after today's race, he is 41 points above the cutoff line, which I think is pretty safe. I think it's pretty safe, because if Martin Truex Jr. had won this race, Kevin Harvick would have been 20, 15 points above the cutoff line, and that wouldn't have been safe at all. So this is what this playoff format does. It builds the drama. And in this last race up and coming, it's going to be a nerve-wracking situation. More, I think, for Denny Hamlin in case Keselowski outpoints him and some guy below the cutoff line wins. It's not going to be a big deal for Kevin Harvick. 41 points, he should be just fine. And number 5 will be driver recap for Chase Elliott. Texas just not been kind to him since the repave, to be honest with you. Early on, Chase had a good top 10 car, finished 7th in the first stage, looked pretty good, ran in the top 10. Then, towards the end of the final stage, when everybody was making green flag pit stops, Chase came back in again because he had a tire going down, felt a vibration, so he had to pit. He fell a lot down, and sadly, he could never get that lap back, and he had to settle for a 20th place finish. I'm just glad announced that we already have our schedule announced for next year. I'm glad we only have one Texas race, which is the point race, and that's in the fall, because let's face it, Chase Elliott has not been good at Texas since the repave. He hasn't. He's had a couple of moments where he's been okay, but really, he just gets screwed. He literally has, as a Chase Elliott fan, he just does not have quite the luck in the round of 8. Hopefully, obviously next weekend, he most likely needs to win 25 points down, as well as teammate Alex Bowman. Both pretty much need to win next weekend. Though they could point the way, and if something could happen. Something could happen. I'm staying optimistic. I believe he can. He had a good run at Martinsville earlier this year. He ran in the top 5 for the most part. He finished 5th. He had a really good car last year in this race. He had started the rear and he moved away to the front, and then on that pit stop under yellow, he snapped the rear end, and they had to go back behind the wall and fix it, and that pretty much put him in a must-win the rest of the round, and he didn't have any luck at all. Listen, still, it's been a really good year for Chase Elliott. He's been still the best of the Chevys, so hopefully he can find a way into victory lane next weekend, or he can maybe point his way in. Anything's possible. I'm going to be optimistic, and I still think he can get it done. He'll be desperate as much as Alex and Martin and Kurt to knock out Brad or Denny. So, we just got to go in and we got to give it all we've got. So, with that being said, there is one more race to go until the Championship 4 in the desert of Phoenix. And it all happens next weekend in Martinsville. It's going to be an incredible, gutsy, get off your seat and get on your feet type of race. This is going to be amazing. Martinsville as a cutoff race, you couldn't have asked for a better round to end on, and with short tracks and wildcard races. Bristol in the round of 16, the Roval in the round of 12, and now Martinsville. It's pretty awesome. We cannot wait to see what happens. We know that Joey Logano has advanced to the Championship 4. Only 3 spots remain available, and 2 of them could be on points, and the other one could be another winner. Who will that be? Will it be Chase Elliott? Will he finally make it to the Championship 4 after the last 3 years he's been so close but no cigar? Will Denny Hamlin be able to hold off? Will Brad Keselowski be able to hold off? Will Alex Bowman be the Cinderella story? Will Kurt Busch be that championship underdog as a former champion? Or will Martin Truex, with James Small back, will he do what he did earlier this year in May under the lights at Martinsville and punch his ticket to the Championship 4 in his first year without Cole Pernus, the crew chief? Only time will tell. We cannot wait to watch the Xfinity 500 next weekend in Martinsville and see what happens. It's going to be an exciting race. I want to quickly say, because there's been some really big news, obviously there was a big news early today, I'm going to make a little video tomorrow, if I have the time based on my classes. I think I'll be able to get in probably tomorrow morning. I'm going to make a video tomorrow previewing some of the news that's been going on in silly season lately, and today we got a really big news, and a lot of people are really happy. Some are like, why? After what he did, but you probably know what I'm talking about, but I'll save that for tomorrow. So in the meantime, subscribe, like, congrats to our defending champion, Kyle Busch, back in victory lane. Yes, he's not going to be competing for a championship, but still he's able to end the year at least on a high note with a win today. Who's going to punch their ticket to the Championship 4 next weekend? Tune in on NBC to find out. It's going to be a party, baby, and I cannot wait to watch it. Until then, have a great weekend, and I will talk to you tomorrow, and God bless you.